Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Dr. Kanika, board certified internal medicine physician, also diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. I work with organizations that are committed to creating and leveraging opportunities for communities of color. So, if you've been following me, you've seen lots and lots of food pictures. You've seen me talking a lot about health because I'm a doctor, kind of what I do. But it was also a personal journey that I went on that I really, really wanted to share. And I felt like it was only right if we are going to do this thing that I bring in the person who really was behind all the things that I was doing because I was certainly not doing it by myself. So Dr. Nicole Peoples, she's with me here today. She's an amazing friend. But she's also an amazing physician, clinician, human being. Just to give you a little backstory, she's the one who's behind the program that I ultimately ended up doing as I was eating my way to happiness and health. And a little bit about Nicole. So I met Nicole, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago. It's been a really, really long time. But we met at a hospital where we were both working together. And at the time, I was having a health condition. I was like itching all over. I had eczema. And Nicole suggested that I do an elimination diet. I never ever heard of an elimination diet. I had no idea what she was talking about. But she was like, yeah, I think that's probably what's wrong with you. Now, to give you a point of reference, I'd been like itching like a crazy person for such a really, really long time, for over a year. I'd seen doctors, I'd been on medicine, I'd gotten allergy tested. I'd even gotten a biopsy because I was sure I had cancer. I think the bottom was when I took a bleach bath because I was itching so bad. I just want to point a frame of reference about like where we're coming from. And Dr. Peoples was like, do an elimination diet. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I was desperate, so I did an elimination diet, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what that is when we get into this. And my itching went away, my eczema went away, it magically resolved. And at this point, we weren't like really, really good friends, but I was like, this chick, this is amazing. And I say this as a doctor. I was like, there's nobody else who could have helped me with this problem. In fact, there was nobody else who had helped me with this problem. And I was like, I don't understand this thing that you do, because she does functional medicine. And I was like, tell me more about this functional medicine thing. So this was my personal introduction to Nicole, not only as a human who just helped me out, but also as a doctor and a clinician who has been doing things in medicine a little bit differently than your traditional medicine practice for a really, really long time. So it is with great fanfare that I'm so excited that we get to have this conversation with her, that she agreed to come here and tell us about this program that I promise you changed my life, and to tell you a little bit more about who she is and what she does. So, long intro, I'm sorry, but Dr. Peoples, Nicole, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell the people who are joining us, the people who were loving all of these food pictures and had so many comments who've joined me on my journey, can you tell us just a little bit more about you and who you are and what you do?
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for that introduction. Thank you for posting. Thank you for having me here to talk about this, because it's something that's a real passion of mine, which is to get people on a journey towards health and healing. And we've been friends for a really long time, but, I started off with the same, type of training that you did. I was going through medical school, but when I was going through medical school, I also knew that my whole journey was about helping people stay healthy. And if you know anything about conventional medicine, it's really a disease care model. It's about people being sick. So I spent tons of time in medical school, postgraduate, and then afterwards training in holistic medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine. And I sort of settled into this functional medicine space, which I sort of describe as sort of lifestyle medicine. And really health care. So it's really focused on how to stay healthy, how to prevent disease, and really optimal health. So not just the bare minimum that we can do to prevent you from getting a disease, but also how do you thrive in your life and have optimal health throughout your lifespan. So that's sort of what drove me into functional medicine and the work that I do.
Okay. So I think, we've talked a lot about this. We've talked a lot about the um, limits of traditional medicine.
Mhm.
The fact that no one ever gets to the root cause is mainly let's treat the symptoms. I don't know, nobody's actually ever fixing anything for the most part. Surgeons can sometimes be different, but also the realization that the food that we eat can heal us or it can kill us. And
Right.
I think that we underestimate the power of food. Now, I know your program is not just about food, but food plays such a huge role in our health, our wellness, and all of these things. So I think we would be remiss to not talk about food and to minimize the impact that food plays in our lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
no, go ahead.
No, I totally agree. I think one of the things that you mentioned was root cause. So when we're looking at people and whatever symptom you have, it doesn't matter what your symptom is. It really doesn't even matter what your diagnosis is for the most part. Really, because what we want to look at in my practice is why people get sick and looking at their causes of that. And so food just happens to be one of them. There are a number of other ones which we'll sort of touch on today, but food is one huge component. And what people don't realize is that what we're eating on a day-to-day basis actually is information. It's information that our bodies are taking in, and our bodies do either good with that information or that they can actually do bad. And so I remember my mom saying, well, you ate that as a kid, you've eaten that all your life. And what I try to explain to people is that when you're not eating well for a long period of time, that's how disease develops. That's how illnesses develop. And so, what we're really talking about when we talk about food is not just what to eat, but just how that food specifically interacts with your body and how you have control over that, how you can manipulate the foods that you eat to make you feel better, but also to make your cell get the information they need to do what they need to do, which is prevent disease and to help you feel great all throughout your life.
Okay, so I know this is not all about food. I know it, but I keep coming back to food
Yes.
because food is what food is what we do, right? We eat all of the time. Every social gathering is around food. It's around food. It's around drink. That's what it is, right? So I would like you to share what is an elimination diet,
Mhm.
and I think it's so important that people understand this because like I said, as a physician 12 years ago, I had no idea what you were talking about when you talked about an elimination diet. Even after doing the reading, I had no idea. And so I think when we hear the term diet, especially since there's so many diets out there, some people may be like, oh God, this is just another diet.
Mhm.
But this is not a traditional diet. And so I think I would love if you could talk a little bit more about like what an elimination diet is and like, yeah.
So all of our bodies react to food differently. So my body is going to react to food differently than your body versus the next person. And what is really interesting about sort of mainstream the way we talk about food and diet is that we categorize everybody into these big lumps. So you have people who are vegan and vegetarian and paleo and keto. And what we're assuming here is that everybody would do well with a specific form of a diet. But what an elimination diet does is it allows you to figure out what type of diet you do best with by actually letting you eat the foods and find out whether or not your body reacts to it. And so what we do during an elimination diet is we usually take out the most allergenic foods or the foods that people most likely have adverse reaction to. And we know this through years of study and science. And we take those foods out of your diet for a period of time. And then at the very end, we reintroduce those foods back in and see how your body responds to that. And when I say how your body responds, the only person who can really answer that is you. So you're able to tell, when I was not eating these foods, these symptoms went away. And then when I reintroduced these foods back in, I noticed that this symptom came back in when I had gluten, or this symptom came back when I had dairy. And you'd be surprised. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, but I think what a lot of people would be surprised at is that there's so many of us who have reactions to foods. And so we think that we're just walking around and I feel tired, I have brain fog, I feel bloated. I can't, I'm not having bowel movements. I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I've got diabetes. We think all of these things are just happening to us, but it's actually something that we can pinpoint and say, no, the reason I feel bloated is because my body doesn't do well with gluten. The reason I feel bad or itchy all over is because my body doesn't do well with dairy. And once you know that, it's super powerful. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own health. And so you're not wondering why you feel the way you feel. You know. And that sense of knowing is sort of giving you the ability to control your health. And of note, just to make that point, so it's the symptoms that you're experiencing, but when you're experiencing symptoms, there's also other stuff going on inside of your body that you may not be feeling. And so when we talk about disease prevention, it's not just about getting rid of your bloating or just resolving a specific symptom you're having. It's about identifying the causes of inflammation in your body and reducing that inflammation so that disease does not develop or can be reversed.
Okay. I'm going to try not to hammer this point home, but one of the things that you said, you were talking about food and how there are certain symptoms that we have. What I can say is that, I had gone to quite a few doctors and they did the traditional things. Like I said, I got a skin biopsy to make sure it wasn't cancer. They put me on medicines to suppress my immune system so I would stop like itching and the histamine release and like all this stuff. And nobody, even traditional allergy testing didn't show that I was allergic to. Turns out I was allergic to cow's milk. And so it wasn't until I took this thing out of my diet that the itching went away. And when I say it was the first time I had not itched in a year, it was miraculous. And so I end up focusing on food, not because I'm fixated with food, but because it was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is major. And so I want to make sure people, because doing an elimination diet, like taking all of those things out of your diet, let's just be honest, it's not the easiest thing to do. Like you really have to get your mind right. You really have to like prepare yourself because you're doing something that you've never done before. You're going against your natural habits, et cetera, et cetera. It can be pretty restrictive, but I will say it was absolutely worth it because I was able to see, I felt good for the first time in a year. And then can we talk about, so your program, tell me, can you share a little bit more about your program, in general, what it encompasses, but I really do want you to tell us a little bit about with the elimination diet. Are you eliminating these top 8 allergens like no milk, dairy, eggs, alcohol, like forever? Or like how does this work?
Yeah, so really we only do, let me see, you had a couple of questions there. So I want to point out a few things. So yes, it can be very challenging because what people fail to sort of realize is that food is cultural, food is behavioral, food is a part of lifestyle. And so one of the things that has to be sort of challenged as you go through this process, you have to set yourself up for success by recognizing that the things that are around you that are most convenient, which are normal. So when people say, oh, I just eat a normal diet, which we call a SAD diet, the standard American diet is SAD because it causes so many problems. So when you're eating what's normal and natural and what's around you all the time, it sets you up for illness and disease. So what we have to do is we have to take a step back and say, okay, we're going to do something different. It is going to be challenging because the world isn't necessarily designed for this type of eating, but we only have to do it for a short amount of time so you can identify what's going on with you. And then following that, you can make decisions about how you want to manipulate your behaviors and your lifestyle to fit what works for you. And you don't have to rely on sort of these generalized diets that people say that you know what works for you. So in my program, we take out some of the top allergens, the foods that we know that cause the biggest problems. We also take out processed foods. So the things like you mentioned, there's gluten, dairy, eggs in some cases, soy in some cases, nuts, and then also processed foods, sugar, et cetera, et cetera. There's a few other components to this diet because one of the things that I do in my practice is I tailor sort of diet prescriptions to what your specific needs are. So if you're interested in losing weight, then we also adjust it that way. If you have an autoimmune condition, then we might make some adjustments that way. And we do that for a 6-week period of time. 6 weeks, that's it. And then after those 6 weeks, we take the next couple of weeks to identify which foods you're responding to. And we do this in sort of an objective and a subjective way. And what I mean by that is at the very beginning of the program, everybody does a questionnaire. And that questionnaire invariably, you get points, I think, from 0 to maybe 120. When people start this program, they put down all of their points for how many symptoms they might have. And that, people range anywhere from 50 to like 110 of all of these symptoms that they have. And then you find out by the end of that 6 weeks, those symptoms have dramatically decreased. So if you started off at 110, you might be down to 40 or even 20. And so that means that all of these symptoms resolved as a result of you just removing food and doing some of the other things I suggest in the program. And then, you start to reintroduce these foods back in and you see what symptoms pop up again. And then you're saying, oh, now I know that this food is the cause of my problem. So it is just a short period of time. And then after that, we set you up for success by teaching you how to implement a diet that's specific to you in a way that you can be very mindful about what you eat and the behaviors around your health. So it's a lifestyle program. It's a behavior change program, but it gives you a ton of information, unlike a diet where you're just like, eat this and eat this for the rest of your life without real clear definition of when to stop.
Ooh, I think we lost Dr. Peoples.
Okay.
Okay, I think you're back. There you go. Okay.
So it's much different than a diet. I always have to reemphasize because people just aren't used to doing what I they're not used to my approach to medicine. And so it is very different, but I spend a lot of time educating people on what to do, how to do it, and giving you the support, which is why I created this program the way that I did, so that you could be supported in a way that I just am not able to do in a one-on-one basis.
Okay. So there are so many amazing points there. Two that I want to make sure I hit on. And I think we talked about this earlier. What's right? The way of eating that is right for one person may not be the way of eating that's right for another. So you may have people say, "Oh no, you should be vegan. Everybody should be vegan." Well, not everybody. Or everybody should be vegetarian. No one should eat meat. Depending on what your underlying health conditions are, depending on what your goals are. Mm-hmm. What I love about this is the really tailoring it to see what your needs are and to see what works best for your body. And I think that there are a lot of programs, I would say, that say this is the diet that you need. We can look at your blood type, we can do this. It's like all sorts of like foolishness out there. But this one actually requires that you put in work.
Yeah.
And I will say you get nothing for free in life. And so, but how much more tailored can you be than a program that specifically says, how does this food make you feel? How does this, so being able to look at those things, I think that's really invaluable. And I think if people can commit to 6 weeks, we're going to do this to figure out what is the right way of eating for my body, for my health conditions, for me, right? I think the other thing is, I want to ask you, like, what type of people benefit from your program? I'm going to tell you, for me, the reason I did this is, yeah, sure, I'm a doctor and it should have been about health, but it kind of sort of was, but not really. I kind of gained 20 pounds and I don't know where it came from and what I was doing. Not true. I do know what I was doing, but I gained 20 pounds. I was feeling kind of blah. And so for me, this was vanity. It was vanity, and it was just like, yo, I am going off the rails. I need to get it together. I personally needed a reset. I got a lot of benefits that I actually wasn't expecting. I did lose about 20 pounds, which is nice. But I had a lot of other benefits that were actually not even on my radar at the time. And so, once again, for somebody watching this and being like, I don't know if this is for me, like what type of people do you serve best in your program?
So there's a lot of layers to that question. The name of my program is the Black Women's Guide to Health, Hormones, and Longevity. And so in the title, my target audience is Black women. And one of the reasons my target audience is Black women is because there are just so many health disparities in our, as you know. And I really felt like I wanted to talk specifically to Black women about how we could improve our health. This program would work for anybody. But because my program, which we haven't talked about, is a group program, I wanted to make sure that I created a safe space for women to make these changes, because whenever we're making behavior changes, that is very personal. And I want people to feel comfortable and in the right frame of mind. Then also, the reason why people come to my program is vast. One of the biggest reasons is weight loss, because there are tons of weight loss programs out there, but this is truly a holistic program that is much different than any program that you've ever experienced. I've had people in my program who've been on Weight Watchers, who've done all the things, and just weren't able to either have the changes that they wanted to make or sustain them. And so this program for weight is amazing, because really my philosophy is that once you get the body healthy, the weight comes off. And so what we're really focusing on, as you said, it's not just about the food. We're focusing on all of the factors that lead to inflammation. And when you reduce inflammation, weight comes off. Also, when you start to learn some of these principles behind healthy eating and healthy living, the weight comes off because you're optimizing how the body functions. But weight is not just the only thing, and you don't have to want to lose weight to gain a ton from this program. So autoimmune conditions are really great, because autoimmune conditions are oftentimes triggered by the foods that we eat and the behaviors that we have. Brain fog, fatigue, specifically for women who are going through this perimenopause and menopausal time of their life. So women who just want to, like you said, reset, who want to gain better control, who want to age better, who want to get better control of their hormones, their mood, their anxiety, their depression. And so I'm always telling people, like, how does one program treat so many different things? And it's because of the foundation of what this type of medicine does. We're getting at the root cause. So once you get to the root cause of inflammation, once you get to the root cause, the things that actually cause your body to develop disease, then you get all of these benefits as a side effect of just being healthy. So if you're thinking about, oh, do I want to, do something that is going to change my health trajectory, and you have a health condition, you're on medications, or you just are vain and want to lose a couple of pounds, you're going to see benefits from this program. And that's who I want in this program, are people who are ready to make the changes that are required for them to live their best life. Now, I can also tell you who the program's not for. So if you are just looking for a quick fix, right? You just want to take a pill and you want your problems to be solved. Conventional medicine is great for that in a plus and minus way. It doesn't always solve your issue, but it can, rapidly, you don't have to put any effort in. You can just take a pill and it can be done, right? But this program is really about behavior. It's about lifestyle. And my motto is health is a lifestyle. I want to help you live that life that gives you the benefits that you're looking for, the health benefits that you're looking for. So people who are really wanting to commit to making changes in their life, that's who this program is for. If you're not one of those people, then this probably wouldn't be the program for you.
All right, thank you. So I asked you, like, I don't know if I asked you, in terms of, and I think you talked about it. We talked about who this program is for and what some of the benefits are that people have had on this program. And I can share my benefits, but do you have like any like particular like stories, like one or two stories that could resonate with people in terms of some of the benefits that people have had going through your program?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting is that a lot of people come into the program wanting to lose weight. And by the time they finish the program, they're like, oh yeah, I lost some weight, but I can't believe that my hair is growing back. Or I can't believe that, my sinuses are better, that I'm sleeping better. And this is a uniform response from most people. Not all the people who come through the program, is that they get benefits in their sleep, they get benefits in their energy, their brain fog has gone away. I've had patients who've had medical conditions where they no longer had to take their medications, or they could reduce significantly the amount of medication they were on. And that's just in the 6-week period of time. And so the greatest part about watching people go through this program is the fact that they have all these what I call side effects of healthy living. And like they run the gamut. Also indigestion, constipation, thyroid disorders, or irritable bowel syndrome, tons of bloating, constipation, all of those sorts of symptoms get better. And it's hard to pinpoint like one specific case, because when I talk to the women after they've gone through the program, this is what they're telling me. It's this and it's that and it's the third. And then on top of that, I also lost 20 pounds.
Okay. So I'm going to be one of those women, right? So I was one of those women. I was like, yeah, I lost weight, but, and so we would have conversations and I'd be like, oh my God, wait a minute. I haven't had abdominal pain in 7 years. So I had belly pain for 7 years. And I'd had all the tests. I had a pelvic ultrasound. I had a CAT scan of my belly. I had a colonoscopy. I had all the work, right? Once again, do I have cancer? Like there must be something wrong, because my stomach hurts kind of all the time. But you know what? We're not taking medicine because I don't like to really do that too much. And so we were dealing with it. But I realized, and I didn't realize until after the program, that my stomach had not hurt for 6 weeks. And I was like, wait a minute, my stomach pain went away. And so it's kind of one of those stories, right? Like, oh, I'd had like this tailbone pain that I was attributed to the fact that I sit so much, on computers, like a lot of us these days. And my husband's like, you need to get that looked at. And I'm like, what are they going to do for me? Nothing. I mean, I bought one of those old people pillows that you sit on. It has like a butt cut out, for my tailbone. And then on this program, I was like, wait a minute, my tailbone has not been hurting. And so to me, when I tell you, I cannot, anybody who has any medical problem, anything in the hospital, I do traditional medicine. That's what I do. But any of my friends who come to me, like they have this, they have that, I'm like, you should do an elimination diet. You're right. I'm just like, it's something that you're eating. I feel like a prophet, and I just want to like share with everybody, like this stuff is amazing. And most people look at me like I'm crazy, and they continue to drink their wine and they go get a second piece of cake. And I'm just like, okay. But I so want to share that this has been amazing for so many reasons beyond, my personal vanity. Is like, it made me realize it was the food that I was eating. And so what I discovered, my personal dietary changes, when I came into this, I was kind of a vegan for the most part. And now I'm no longer vegan. I avoid dairy and I avoid gluten. So I am gluten free and I'm dairy free, but I do eat meat now. And my daughter said to me the other day, she was like, Mommy, what is happening to you? She was like, you're like, now you're gluten free and this and that. And I was like, you learn better, you do better. But that's me, right? That's me. That's my story. That's what my body needed. The other thing I want to say that I got from this program is, I think a lot of times we feel like things are happening to us. Mm-hmm. And that we don't have any agency, we don't have any control. You hear people like, I'm gaining weight, my boss sucks, my job sucks, or my spouse isn't showing up the way I would like him to show up. And it's like, these are things happening to us, and like we can't do anything about it but deal with it in the best way we can. And what doing this program also taught me was that I have agency, I have the ability to make decisions, even sometimes really difficult decisions, that positively impact the quality of my life. So yeah, it wasn't just about losing weight. It was about so many other things. And I know our time is short. And we didn't even have a chance to talk about, you kind of alluded to other aspects of the program. But there's also a focus on sleep. There's a focus on, removing toxic agents, in your environment. There's so many other components of the program, and I think we've said this enough now, that are not just food, but the impact is amazing. And this is coming from myself, a board certified internal medicine physician who takes care of the sickest of the sick every single day. And I know the amazing things that our healthcare system and Western medicine can offer you, but I also recognize the limitations both professionally and personally. So I am just so thankful, Dr. Peoples, that you have you are you've moved outside the box, right? And it's unfortunate to even think of functional medicine as being outside of the box, because it should squarely be inside the box of traditional medicine and how we practice medicine, but it's not, even though it should be. And so I just think you just have so much to offer so many people. And when people, if anybody is looking at me and like, oh, she looks great, or her skin is radiant, or any of those things, listen, Dr. Peoples, she is my own personal concierge physician. And I just love the fact that you're making this program accessible to more people, because functional medicine one-on-one can be quite pricey, because you guys spend so much time, one-on-one time, with patients outside of like our traditional medical model. And so I really think a program like this also makes these functional medicine philosophies and practices more accessible
Yeah.
to the general public.
Yeah. And that, I think, just to sort of round off, it's just to sort of give a context for what you're talking about. So this is a group program. You do it, I meet with everybody once a week. So unlike in my private practice where I might see you every 6 months or every 3 months, I see you every week. So you get all of my expertise every single week. You also get the opportunity to work with other women who are going through the same journey as you, who might be on the same path as you, and get their insight. Because one of the things that I think we falter in conventional medicine is that we assume that only one person has the answer, or that there's only one answer to something. And I'm not going to say that I have the answer for everything. I think that as a collective, we are very smart people, and we know what's going on with our own bodies. And we have to learn to listen to ourselves. We have to be able to trust ourselves, what our internal organs and body are saying to us. But you also have the opportunity to hear that from other women. So you feel like, oh, I'm not alone. And that's why I created it as a group program, because I feel like you get more bang for your buck in this sort of format. And it is a comprehensive program. So it's not, we talk about food, but we also talk about sleep. We talk about stress. We talk about detox. We talk about, this is the pillars of my functional medicine practice I've brought over into a group program. And so all of the things that, you might want to talk to your doctor about, you get an opportunity to do that with explanations, with not just sort of do this, but why do this, how to do this. Here's the support to do this. Here are the resources to do this. And so, I find that the program works extremely well, and you are just one testament to that. But there, just like there's one of you, there are 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, hundreds, thousands more just like you who get the same benefits as you got. And I'm just happy to be able to be the vehicle or the guide to help you get through that.
Well, thank you. So, on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. And I just want to say once again, for my people, you might, so I'm health equity, advocacy, I'm social justice. And so, why are we spending so much time talking about food and health? And it's not just because I'm a doctor, but it's because I understand that the work that we are trying to do within our communities is hard work, it's stressful work. And so we have to be prepared. So when you're going into battle, you can't go into battle sluggish and tired and already, halfway beaten. And so my focus is making sure your mind is right, your body is right, so that we can do this work. I think as women, and especially as women of color, we are so accustomed to sacrificing ourselves while we work on behalf of the community, while we sacrifice for our children, our family, et cetera, et cetera. We don't take care of ourselves. And so my focus as we are going out there to change the world and make it a better place, because I really believe we have the power to do that, is to also make sure you are taking care of yourself first. And so that's why I've been super focused on this. That's why I've been sharing my journey. And that's why I asked Dr. Peoples to come on board and share, because I also didn't want to pretend like I did this by myself, right? I am amazing, but thank you.
Absolutely.
I had help. So, Dr. Peoples, if people are interested in working with you and learning more about your program, tell them where they can find you.
Great. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook at People's Functional Medicine. To get more information about the program or to set up a discovery call with me to find out if this program is right for you, you can go to www.blkwomensguide.com/reset. So that's blackwomensguide.com/reset. And again, that's blkwomensguide.com/reset.
Awesome. So this went a little bit longer than I expected, but I hope you were able to hang out the entire time, because there was just so much amazing information from start to finish. Once again, I am Dr. Kanika, board certified internal medicine physician, also diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant, strategist, and I work with organizations who are committed to health equity and to leveraging opportunities for communities of color. So would love to hear from you. Drop some comments in the chat if this resonated with you. If you have any questions, I will answer the questions, or Dr. Peoples will answer the questions. And we're here. And you can follow me at Dr. Kanika MD. That's DrKanika MD. I'm on all the social media platforms. My website is www.drkanikamd.com. So you can, if you have other questions like what else does she do? Or like, hey, we'll love to have her come and talk to my organization or my people. That's how you find me. All right, Nicole, thanks so much for coming. And I wish you all the success. And I don't know. Like I said, I tell all my friends, I tell everybody about you. And so now we are telling the world about the amazing work that you do. So, all right, I'll see you guys next time.
All right.